like things like graph. And when it comes to principle, the principle, it's like a procedure that we focus, that we follow so that things will be better. When it comes to data visualization principle, your graph should be charity, simplicity, accuracy, avoid cluster, focusing on key insight, use minimal element, and ensure graph are accurate and easy to interpret. We are going to see the different uh, types of chart that can help us to present our information. So allow me to proceed to the next slide. Uh, if there is no question, we can proceed. So I'm waiting for you to just see if there is a question, I can respond. If there is no question, we can proceed. Okay, can proceed. And this is the different types of statistical graphic and chart. As I said before, when you look at the description of chart, it's really focused on the data type. We know that we can say numerical data or quantitative data, or we can say qualitative data or categorical data. The first chart here, it's what we call bar chart. So bar chart, it helps us to compare the frequency or count or proportion of categorical variable. So when you are interested to plot categorical variables, just like a gender, you really want to know how many numbers of male, how many numbers of female, just in terms of graph, how many percentage of male and female in terms of graph, instead of providing numbers, you can use bar chart to plot that variable, which means when you want to plot, or when you want to graph categorical variables, one categorical variables, you can use bar chart or you can use pie chart, as you see. And even pie chart represents the proportion of wood or percentage of categorical variables. The difference between bar chart and pie chart, mainly to be able to use that chart, uh, the pie chart, uh, it's more specifically on presenting a percentage of categorical variables instead of presenting a frequency as it is. And when it comes to bar chart should also present percentage, but also it can present the frequency, which means it can present categorical variables, but in different way. While for pie chart, you can present categorical variables, but also specifically it is designed for percentage of that categorical variables. As you see here, this is an example of how things is. You see the names. This is how we can say like bar chart. This is the, I don't know if you see my screen. This is how bar chart looks like, and this is how pie chart looks like. So I don't know if you see my screen. This is how bar chart looks like, and even here is pie chart looks like. And the last one to this slide is like histogram. So histogram, as I said before, is help us to make a visualization of on distribution of continuous variable. So when you say continuous variable, it means like you deal with numerical data, as we talked about before the session we started. We are seeing that on numerical data, it's where we have a continuous variable. Those who are mathematician, we can say that is a variable who it's like a measurable numbers, a variable values that we get due to the measurement. This is how we can say continuous variable or continuous data. And discrete data, it's like comes from count. It's like a set of integers, as I said before. And when it comes to continuous variables, like set of real numbers, let's say that. And I apologize for those who are not familiar with mathematics, but after this session of statistics, we are planning to go in deep about the concept of mathematics, like a foundation of mathematics, things like linear algebra. Uh, I hope you finish this month of a foundation with a good package so that we can proceed to that. The reason why I started to do the statistics, I really want to engage you in a field of statistics rather than putting you in a mathematical term. But it's important, but compared to statistics, I prefer to start on statistics. So I don't know if you understand the difference between those free chat. If not, you can ask a question before we proceed to the uh, next slide. Yeah, Mr. Bonigaba, Francois, you can ask.
Thank you. Uh, I have a question about the difference between pie chart and bar chart. Those uh, those charts used to present categorical data in proportion, but I don't understand how they are different. So this is my question.
Thank you. As I said, a street pie chart and bar chart, all of them they used to plot uh, categorical variables. And when
As
it
a,
comes, okay, yes, one of the most popular thing on the box plot is to look at numerical variables. It didn't look at the categorical variables. This chart about box plot, it's look at numerical variables and mostly to help us to identify outliers. So when you use the box plot, the one of the a thing that we are interested, it's like observing the box plot. So when it comes to the data visualizations, as you know, we I hope we try to plot that type that a kind of chart so that we can see how it is. But mostly box plot, it's help us to identify outliers within numerical variables. You know that numerical variables is a value far from others. Not to consider outliers as categorical variables, but especially when we say outliers, it means we totally talked about uh, numerical variables. And even scatter plot for those who are uh, knowing a little bit about statistics, it shows us the relationship between dependent variable and independent variables. So when we say dependent variable, it means it's like effective variables. We really have a question, and we are just in a way of finding the root cause of that question. So that question should be considered as dependent variable, and also the root cause should be considered as independent variables. So when it comes to scatter plot, it's to help us to see the relationship between a root cause and the result of a root cause and the equation of that root cause. So this is how we can say about the scatter plot, but mostly to show us the relationship between two numerical variables. When we try to look at the relationship just by using a scatter plot, we really focus on numerical variables. And when we intervene the concept of correlation, you know, uh, I hope we see more deeply on those terms, correlation, relationship, when it comes to the part of inferential statistics. But here we can use scatter plot to show the relationship between two variables, which is numeric. But now let's keep this scatter plot and just knowing that it's help us to see the relationship between to plot the relationship between two numerical values. We are are planning to study inferential statistics, when it comes to those things like correlation, I will show you more detail about correlation and even others, but related to dependent and independent variables. And the line chart, as Mr. Mihirwa said, it's display the change trend over time for continuous data. So when it comes to continuous data, it means we are looking for uh, numerical variables, as I said. All those three charts here, it's totally talked about uh, numerical variables. So I don't know if you have a question about here, and if not, we can proceed to the next slide. Okay, again on Rani chart. So Rani chart, it shows us the trend. For example, we have two variables, which is called, or let's say one variable which is sales amount within years. Maybe we record all sales transaction we do within years. And when we record those transactions, maybe we record the date of that transaction. We have sales amount as one variable, which is numeric, and also we have another variable, which is time. When we have sales for today, we record the date of today until the years finish. So when it comes to plot the trends of sales within that year, we use line chart to plot that sale. I don't know if you understand that. Mr. Sorry, Miss Alexia, I don't know if you understand. Yes, thank you. Okay, Alexia. Yeah. Come again on box plot. Okay, thank you. A box plot is a chart that can help us. Uh, I don't. Okay. Let me show you how box plot it looks like. Uh, MC. Okay, this is a box plot. You see, the box plot. It looks like in this way. Uh, when we're trying to plot the box plot, but this chart is not box plot, but it looks like that. So when it comes to the box plot, we're really interested to see the outliers on numerical variables. This is when we use box plot. When we are interested to visual the numerical variables, just for observing if there is outliers or not outliers. We use box plot to see if there is outliers in our variables. For example, we have sales, and we really need to know if the sales variables or record of that sales variables contains the outliers. So we prefer to use box plot so that we can be easier for us to see if there is box plot. When it comes to the part of doing data visualization, we hope we see how box plot looks like. But here in this PowerPoint, I apologize, I didn't include the chart of box plot, but it seems like that. And I'm going to update my PowerPoint so that you see how box plot. But I hope you understand the logic using box plot. Yeah. Fanny, I don't know if you have a question, but anyone who has a question, you can ask, no problem. Okay. And maybe Mr. Mhigwa can add something about box plot. Yeah.
So thank you. Box plot are used when you are comparing like distribution of multiple groups side by side. For example, like you are comparing the monthly sales across different region. You can prefer to use box plot, and you can even use box plot when you are identifying outliers. So like you are detecting like for example in the web traffic, you are detecting the abnormalities in your web traffic. Like if there is certain traffic. Okay, I was working on identifying outliers. So the box plot can be used for identifying outliers. So to identify which value is significantly higher or lower from the rest of the data. So what is the meaning? That is the meaning of outliers. So for example, you are detecting like a normal. So you can't use a box plot when you're showing individual data points, like summarizing data or not displaying each value. And you can't use box plot when your data set is small. You can't use box plot because box plot is not summarize that does not summarize the statistics. So because it can't provide the meaningful, and you can't use box plot when you need to display like exact data values. So like here you can even use dot plot or scatter plot instead. That's what I could add on the box plot to make it clear.
Thank you. Understand something about that. If there is no other question, we can proceed to the next slide. Okay. Another chart is what we call a heat map. When we say a heat map, mostly, especially, we use a heat map for visualizing correlation. But here, I didn't include that thing. When we use a heat map, especially we are doing a correlation analysis. So correlation analysis, uh, it shows us the relationship between dependent variable and dependent variable. Uh, but when we say dependent and dependent variable, it is in the context of numerical data. So heat map should be applied on numerical data when we are interested to plot the correlation between those variables. I already calculated the correlation between maybe age and salary, correlation between age and experience, something like that. And I'm interested to plot within the graph. This is where we use a heart map. And apart from that, uh, heart map should be visual the magnitude of variables across two dimensions using color intensity. And additionally, we have uh, viewing plot. And a viewing plot, it's like a graph that uh, you see here. I see Mhirwa has raised their hand, but wait a little bit and I will give you a time to say something. And we have viewing plot. And when it comes to the viewing plot, it's really with like a probability distribution. I really know that there is some who didn't know about probability, but what we do here, it's like I'm trying to give you an overview. I'm trying to give you a basic an idea of a different stat that we can use in describing data, but I hope we gonna deep into to that concept. We have it in a month of foundation. So I prefer, as I said before, I prefer to start on this because it's somehow interesting compared to that concept. To start by mathematics and even start probability, it's somehow difficult for those who are not familiar with mathematics. And when it comes to probability, you really knows. For those who did mathematics, you really know. But when we are trying to make visualization, even in probability density on continuous variable, we use Viorine plot. and violin prod should be this, should be looks like this, or looks like this. Somehow normal distribution, when it looks like a normal distribution in prod, for those who knows mathematics. But for those who didn't knows mathematics, I hope at the end of this month you will have like a general picture of that technical term. And density plot also. Density plot seems like that. All those are somehow similar. You see, this is the violin pie chart, and should be this is the uh, density density chart. Yeah, those it's like this is represent probability distribution of when it comes to probability, it's like data which is numeric. We don't do the probability of categorical variables, of course. And here, density plot is help us to estimate instead of plotting distribution. It's help us to estimate the probability distribution of continuous variable. This is how it's different from violin plot and even density plot. And maybe Mr. Mhirwa, he has a question or a poem to add on that presentation. Maybe the floor is yours before we receive a question about these things.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Tassier. So I have a comment like on heat map. So heat map, for someone who don't know heat map, uh, it's like a visual tool that's been used for. It's used the color gradient to present the values. Like it used the colors to present the data values. So and it helped like quickly identify some patterns, trends, outliers in big data set. So when to use, you can ask yourself when to use heat map. So okay, I think like showing a data density. It means that, in short, it means that when you are visualizing the high concentration of a data point in a large data set, when you have a big data set and then you want to visualize those data. So another way of using this heat map is when you are just, as Tase said, visualizing the correlation. Here, in short, it's like looking the relationship between the variables. Here we use what we call correlation matrix. So the correlation matrix, it's use the colors, different gradient colors, to show how certain points are correlated. Maybe they should use red, gleam sometime, to show how the color becomes strong. It seems that there is stronger correlation where the colors become very easy. It means there is less correlation. That's in brief how can I express the heat map. And then heat map can even used by like visualizing the geographical data of like mapping geographical areas, like using the colors to show the intensity of something, like how things is the quantity of something, in short. So like the heat map can be used like when in the COVID time, they use heat map like displaying the COVID case, like identifying the region or where the population, where there is high COVID cases. So even if the heat map can even use it for analyzing, showing off the time series. When you're analyzing, when I mean time series, when you are studying or tracking the change over time on something, you track the change over time of something, like especially when you combine some categorical data. For example, like you are visualizing, for example, let me take an example of website. You are visualizing the traffics that come per hours on the certain website, whether it's a EduConnect website, the traffic that comes in the EduConnect website per day. So and by week or by hours. So this trend, that trend comes by day, by week, by hour. You can use heat map to visualization to visualize that. So in short, I can go and summarize on the viewing plot, and viewing plot, it's like combine the box plot and what we call kernel density plot. So kernel density plot, it's a plot which show the distribution of the probability density. It means that it's to show how the data are spread. So like it helps us to give the insight, like whether you are underlaying the distribution shape. Like unlike on the box plot itself, it shows us only the summary of statistics, but on a viewer plot, it gives us the highlight of how frequent the values like are flew with its width or at different data points. So the viewing plot, it gives us how the frequency of the values related to the width and the data point. So you can ask yourself when to use also this plot. I mean the viewing plot. Viewing plot you used when you are like comparing the data distribution. It means that in short, comparing data distribution, those who are not statistician, it means that you are comparing the distribution of data across all multiple categories or multiple groups. For example, you are comparing the distribution of exam scores like between the classes of the groups. So that distribution of marks or exam scores and the class or even the age group. So you can even use it like when you are visualizing the distribution shape. When I mean distribution shape is to see if your data is skewed or is normally distributed. Like for example, you are just like displaying the height of distribution of men and the women in a population. So if you are want to distribute to display the height of men and the women, so showing like you should show off like if one group like male or female, if one group has a wider spread or have a central tendency. So you can use the Viron plate to show that to show that distribution of certain group. You can even use that to show the central tendency and the variability when you are going to show the median, the quantiles, the standard deviation, the spread, and the outliers. You can use this plot. So, and I can give the floor to Tasia to continue that.
Uh, if there is no question, we can both. And they plot categorical variables with the frequency. Either they can plot categorical variables with percentage. This in simple word, area chart, it's help us to plot qualitative variables or categorical variables. This is how area chart looks like. So when you are interested to plot area chart, for example, we have like a chart here which brought Canada, China, Russia, Australia, and United States. All those things, you see this color, these parts, maybe let's assume that because we don't have a region on that graph, that's why it's somehow complicated to visual, to see what a person who visual that chart, their purpose to do area chart. We don't have a region here. That's how it's somehow complicated. But let's assume that this area in this color, uh, yeah, we have it here. Sorry, we have it here. We have this color. It's like coal, hydro, and nuclear, gas, and oil. Um, let's say that we are interested to see uh, what percentage of Canada do they have when we consider all those four or five things. So this is where the area chart can help us to visual. For example, when it comes to Canada, we can say that almost 500 TWH, it's like coron. Let's say that's like coron. I don't know the specific meaning of this coron, but let's say that like when it's like a minerals called this. And the cumulative, when we say a cumulative, it's like addition. I really interested to know maybe let's say an example about maybe the uh, employment type. For example, we have total employees in our company X, which is equal to maybe 100. We have a total employee on our company X, which is 100. For us to be able to know the meaning of a cumulative frequency, it should be the cumulative frequency when we have the total numbers of employees 100, and even on employment type, as I said, maybe let's say that we have medium employee, we have a senior employee, we have beginner employee. Let's say on medium employee we have 70 employees, and when it comes to senior, let's say that we have 20, and there's beginner we have 10. And when we make a total employee, it gives us 100 as an example I give you. So for us to understand the cumulative, should to be a cumulative when I'm interested to see middle employee and senior employee at the same time, to add those categories as a two. I'm interested to see how many numbers are there in middle and senior over the total number of employees that I have. This is how cumulative total should be looks like. We tried to see like by adding. I started by middle to see the frequency of middle, but I'm interested to see middle and senior at the same time. And even I'm interested to see middle, senior, and beginner at the same time. But also, we should be interested to see the beginner and the senior at the same time. This is how cumulative works, right? We try to consider the frequency as a combination. We see the frequency as a combination of those two maybe categories within that categorical variables. And when it comes to area chart, it's really part to show their uh, uh, a frequency to the specific values, to the specific categories. We can have like a country here as we have Canada, China, Russia, and others. And even we are interested to plot those countries, those countries as are categorical variables. We have variable which is called country, and also we have another country and also we have another variables which is called, let's say, minerals as coal, hydro, nuclear, gas, and oil. And we are interested to see the cumulative values for each. I'm interested to see coal, hydro, nuclear, gas, and oil at the same time on Canada, for example. When you look at those, you have seen that by considering all minerals, for example, in Canada, it has like over, maybe let's say between one temperature for 100 1000 temperature, and between 100 temperature and 1500 temperature. Maybe you can say that by comparing, by uh, taking all minerals in China, it's about maybe let's say 1200. What we do here is like considering all values, consider all categories as uh, together. And even for China, you see, this is how cumulatives looks like. He tried to compare, or he tried to, yeah, it's tried to combine, not to say compare. It's tried to combine all those categories within one graph. Let's say that it's to combine, not compare. It's combine those minorities within one country and they presented at the same graph. And even pair plot, when it comes to pair plot, this is the pair plot. This is how pair plot looks like. He sorry, this is how pair plot looks like. A pair plot is a graph that visual the relationship between multiple variables. As you see here, uh, pair plot should present more than one variables, multiple variables within single chart. For example, I'm interested to plot age, um, gender, employment type, salary, income, something like that. But I'm interested to plot it in single chart. With I can plot all those variables within one chart by using pair chart. So which means a pair chart is help us to plot multiple variables respectively to the data type, specifically to the types of graph should be the same. So in single word, the pair plot it helps us to plot more than one variables in a single chart, but different types of chart. When we have variables which is numeric, it means they plot a visual which is present the data which is numeric. And when we have the variable which is categorical, of course they plot categorical. But mostly when it comes to pair plot, somehow specifically for variables which is numeric. Uh, I don't know if it's plot, it can mix the plot of categorical and the numeric, but specifically help us to plot uh, more than one variables which is numeric within single chart. As you see here as on chart, they plot histogram. This is a scatter plot, histogram, scatter plot within different variables as you see. And scattered bar chart, it's compare the composition of categorical variables within different group. Scattered bar plot is where you are interested to plot two categorical variables or even more than two categorical variables within one chart. So when you look at here, this chart is show us a scattered bar plot. They plot one categorical variables on x-axis and another categorical variables on y-axis. For those who are not familiar with mathematics, when we say x-axis, this is horizontal line. This horizontal line should be x-axis, and vertical line should be y-axis. So we use scatter bar plot when we are interested to plot two or more categorical variables within one chart. I don't know if you understand those concepts. Or there is a question. Are we still together or there is some people who left the meeting? Okay. So I can say that this is the like a little bit an overview about the chart. As I said, you have many. Okay, if there is a question, maybe you can ask. I see Mr. Rudasingwa has a question. Maybe you can ask your question.
It's not a question. I was requesting, if possible, we can access that presentation link so we can review those types of charts so we can memorize.
Yeah, thank you. I think all those materials we have it on Google Class. We have it on Google Class. I don't know if you see that material on Google Class, but I already uploaded. Even last week. Last week is there. It's with there. Maybe you can check, and if not, I will send you on WhatsApp group. I don't know if you are in WhatsApp group.
Thank you. I will check, and if not found, I can tell you.
Yeah, thank you. Cheshman Janet. Okay. Yeah, Mcheshman Vanette, we are waiting for you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I want to ask about those charts. Is those or both necessary to use it? Or in presenting your data, you can choose one which is best. Because I get all of them. There's no big difference between them. It's all about presenting. Is there any difference? Is that necessary to use both of them? Or you can choose one to be used in your presenting data. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. It is not necessary to use it on a single presentation. So just when you are having a data to be presented, when you're having data to be presented, it's up to you to choose the data. So it's up to you to choose the types of chart related to the data you have, which means when I have data which is numeric, no need to make scatter plot, no need to make histogram at the same time. Just before doing like uh, a presentation with graph, you must look at the objective of your presentation. If you have an objective of looking to the relationship maybe between variables A and B, we can use maybe a line chart or scatter plot. It will depend on the data type. When it comes to categorical variable, when you're interested to plot two categorical variables at the same chart, you can use scatter bar chart. So in single word, I can say that it's not necessary to use all those charts as we are studied here. And also there is many charts we didn't cover here. It's up to you to choose the chart related to the data you have and even the objective of presentation. I don't know if you.
Thank you. I get you. But head of my colleague says about those materials are on Google Class, but it is not possible to open it. If possible, we give it in the to be help
Okay.
locate where.
I'm going to send you over your WhatsApp group.
Thank you.
Yeah. Uh, anyone who has a question? Okay. Anyone who has a question? Was about storytelling. Storytelling. I don't know if you revise the course content, but we have it. So in this month, we are trying to give you like a takeaway, like a little bit about what we are planning to cover, and I really knows that at the end of this course you'll be able to know where you can use uh, maybe let's say histogram, bar chart, something like that. And What I request you, if you didn't understand a things, try to ask so that you get more about that. When you didn't ask that question, it means you lose nothing. When you didn't understand the content of today, I don't know if you understand the content of tomorrow. Let's say things like that. So what we request you, try to do an assignment. When you do an assignment, you see the challenge. I really knows that for those who are not familiar with statistics, and also for those who are familiar with statistics, we are trying to make an assignment which is having a challenge. We are trying to challenge you so that you understand, so that you see how things is, so that you see how things should be used in the real world application. And even we are uploading much materials, especially for descriptive statistics. I think I upload almost 6 to 7 materials related to that. So try to use Google Class. And when you have a question, try to ask your question even on WhatsApp group, even on a comment. We have a comment. You have a comment page, a stream page. When you try to read those materials that we already shared to you, it means you get something. And when you get stuck, try to ask so that we can respond. And if not, it means you take what we studied here, which is not enough, and even you will suffer at the end. Let's say that, but we really want to see you engaging on those materials, those assignments, things like that, so that we can get a big thing in this course. And if there is no question, this is my end of the presentation, and I will send you materials that I use, and even I upload, maybe I upload a second assignment on Sunday after the Sunday session. I upload the last second assignment related to data visualization, and the next week we come up with the inferential statistics, where we see how inferential statistics are different from descriptive statistics. So what we are trying to do here, Rudasunga is asking about the Menti assignment. Okay, I didn't prepare it very well. So we approach it. I didn't present it, prepare it very well for today. I tried to make a Menti for like a session of today and tomorrow and even on Sunday. On Sunday, we have the Menti, which cover 3 sessions. This is how course should be arranged. So I hope on Sunday we see the Menti, which cover the course of today and even tomorrow and even Sunday. So I request you to be attentive on those 3 sessions, because as CEO said, we have a short prizes for the winners. We are not trying, guys. We have like a short prizes on the winners, and we see on Sunday how things is. And if there is no question, I can say that let's close our session here, and we are thank you for your attention. We really appreciate your time you give us in this session. Uh, uh, I see that the EduConnect has a question so that we can add on it. Before we close, let me welcome EduConnect to say.
So guys, thank you for your presence. Thank you for attending.